the blues, people never snapped their fingers. You know, people never rocked. You know, we've created the music that's got the whole world jumping.
The blues, according to Mr. Webster, is a state of depression. But singing and playing the blues isn't about sadness. It's about life, the whole of it.
We sing about what happened to the rich, what happened to the poor. We sing about the homeless. We sing about the people that can't feed their children. We sing about the people who depends on a check that their rent is overpowering the check. And we just let you know what's happening in a joyful way.
You wouldn't expect joy and the blues to mix, but singing and telling your troubles can bring a sense of relief.
Blues is something like if you worried about something. If you can't sing them, you still got the blues. It's like you can't get things to go your way. If you're worried about something real bad, then you got the blues. You don't know it. That's what it is.
The history of the blues is deeply rooted in the African-American experience. The blues began as a lyrical chanting, a way of sending forbidden messages. That from blues musician and historian L. McGraw Beauchamp.
There was a way of communicating in slave days called the field holler. You see, the white man outlawed the drum everywhere except in Louisiana. The white man outlawed the drum because he was terrified of slaves being able to communicate with each other. So we had other ways. The field holler was one. I'm glad you want to hear one?
Yeah.
Well, here's one. It goes something like this. Then somebody will say, well, the first one says, well, early morning, child, way after the sun go down, Lord have mercy, we're going to get out here, we're going to leave and reach up on the road. The other answer said, yeah, that's right, I'll meet you up on the road around by Mr. Jackson's place. Well, the white man heard that, and figured, oh, them Negroes that's out there keeping up some noise. See? And they come out there the next morning and find something gone. And the whole thing, Underground Railroad, many things were set up in that manner. So we had to, we figured out a way to circumvent what they thought were shackles. You know, we had one set of shackles. They shackled us physically, but they couldn't shackle the creativity. And so that whole thing, that whole idiom, was expressing gospel, expressing blues.
As African Americans migrated north to Memphis, St. Louis, and then Chicago, they brought the blues with them. It's almost by default that Chicago became one of the blues capitals of the world.
There were steel mills here at one time, and railroads, I say, that converging here. There was some type of employment. Chicago offered a chance to expand your horizons. There was a newness.
To get known, you'd have to migrate to Chicago, to the Chess Brothers, which recorded a lot of black people in those days, and they had a great feeling, an ear, whatever it was, for the blues. And that's what made Chicago is one of the blues capitals of the world. B.B. King is my favorite, but I got a sweet little angel. I got a sweet little angel, and I love the way she spreads her wings. Oh, I got a sweet little angel, and I love the way she spreads her wings. But when she spreads her wings around me, don't you know I get a joy and everything. That's muddy at the end, you know.
One of the blues got pregnant, and they named the baby rock and roll.
Blues music in Chicago is changing, from the music of Pinetop Perkins, piano player, to Muddy Waters.
Yeah, I always tell them all, I ain't never been much of a talker. Just love to play some music, try to make people happy.
to newcomers like Dave Specter with Dave Specter and the Bluebirds.
I've played a lot with older musicians, as most blues musicians in Chicago do. It's kind of the way you learn the ropes and learn to understand it is by playing with the older bluesmen who've been doing it for years and years.
Yeah, the good days. Yeah. When we was with Muddy had a band then. Good blues band.
Think you could ever recapture that somehow?
I doubt it.
Change the names? Get good players?
No, I doubt it. You can't hardly. Muddy had that big, heavy, baritone voice. Just no one can hardly touch him.
Well, I would say that you have a quality, but it's not based on the same kind of roots that people like Pinetop Perkins and Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. I mean, the other blues players haven't picked any cotton. You know, they have empathy for the music, and they have the same soul. There's no lack of quality. I don't want to say there's lack of quality. It's just a different presentation. You know, their perception of things are different than the older guys. They just live they're living a different life.
I was a sharecropper's son. There's no way they could afford to get me a guitar, so I used to steal all my mother's screamer equipment and try to make a guitar. So around 17 years old, 16 or 17, my dad found a guy with an acoustic with a couple of strings on it, and I kept that for years. And when I came to Chicago, the situation was almost the same. I was walking down the street going on my third day without any food, and the guy walks up and said, "If you could play the blues, I'll buy you a drink." I said, "Just buy me a hamburger. I'll play them all night."
Any night he wants now, Buddy Guy can take to the stage at his own club. A lifelong dream come true. He joins new blues artists like the Steve Ditzell Band, or old blues friends like Otis Rush.
I think that what you have is a torch being passed, more or less from fathers who've had one kind of experience to sons who are having another kind.
The music is definitely going to change a lot, but hopefully there are enough people out there that have the understanding of the tradition and learn from the older players while still adding their own sense of feeling and their own music to the blues. And I don't know what it's going to sound like 30 or 40 years from now.
What the blues might sound like in 30 to 40 years worries some blues musicians and critics.
The transition saddens me. You know, the transition from this real hard character of the blues, you know, it's almost, I call the nobility of the blues, to a kind of convoluted hodgepodge of just mediocrity is what it is, you know, a lot of it.
So I like to see a little bit more of a hybrid. I like to see more mixing up of West Side style. West Side style tends to be a little more fiery, a little more saucy. Again, a little more gospel-y influence and stuff. I like to see some of these styles mesh and mix.
I've been playing music about 60-some years ago. Well, like I am now, but I can't give it up, you know. It helps me out on my little get-togethers around the house and stuff, you know. I started one time to retire, but I said, well, I'll keep it going longer.
But as the blues veterans do retire, it's inevitable that the music will change. Or if the blues is what life is all about, maybe the blues won't change that much after all.
But most importantly, blues is music that's from the heart and from your soul and played with feeling. So as long as it's played that way, then it's all right with me.
I feel it all the time.